NBA locker room fights you probably didn't know about. On an NBA court, there are more than just threes raining down and bullet passes zipping around. Emotions are flying around, testosterone is exploding on every play, and as you can guess, this leads to some pretty tense moments. But forget about what happens on the court. It's all about what happens off the court. Let's get deep into this, but before going straight to the content, here is the brand new information on the channel. 3 lucky winners will get a chance to win a PS5. Only you have to comment your views on this locker room fights in the comments section below. Let's start today's topic. Dirty Delonte. If you've ever watched Delonte West in his time playing in the NBA, it probably wouldn't come as much of a surprise to you to find out that he likes to engage in extracurricular activities as well. People probably remember him best from his time with the Cavaliers, with LeBron, and with some of LeBron's family members. But Delonte also played for the Boston Celtics. And yes, Delonte went hard in the game. But he also went hard in practice. Too hard, some would say. When he played for the Celtics, another guard on the team was Von Wafer, and the two would often guard each other in practice. They had several heated exchanges during practices, as Delonte would go really hard and anger Von. Delonte was heard shouting, "Do something about it," during one practice. However, it was Delonte who took action after another practice when a 3-on-3 game became too chippy, and Delonte followed Von Wafer into the locker room and threw a punch. It turned into a fight that then required other teammates to break up, and then a lot of Celtics players and coaches didn't say much in interviews. Big Perk versus Z-Bo. Another Celtic who made his name in Boston is Kendrick Perkins. But you may call him Big Perk, and Perkins was definitely known to have a short fuse attached to his hot temper. Not a great combination. Similarly, on the Memphis Grizzlies, there was Zach Randolph, often referred to as Z-Bo, another big guy you don't want to mess with. Well, you've got 2 big dudes not worried about messing with each other. Now, this incident came during Big Perk's stint with OKC. During a game, he and Z-Bo were yelling at each other across the lane during some free throws, and throughout the game, both got ejected. Both were absolutely fine with that. They were less interested in the game and more interested in the match. All 6 feet 9 inches and 250 pounds of Z-Bo were waiting for all 6 feet 10 inches and 269 pounds of Big Perk. Perk sprinted off the court after being ejected, ready to start this super heavyweight fight, looking for Z-Bo in the hallways of the arena. OKC police had to intervene and break the two up, and that was the night police in Oklahoma City really earned their money. Time to boogie. DeMarcus Cousins is someone you've seen almost get into a lot of fights on the court. You've seen him chasing after Kevin Durant looking for a fight, only for Durant to be escorted safely away from a fuming Boogie. But don't be fooled. Cousins isn't an almost brawler. His plans just always fail. Well, not always. Back in 2011, when Cousins played for the Kings, they had a game against the Thunder in which the Kings were inbounding for a final play. Dante Green inbounded to Tyreke Evans, who took a shot, missed, and the Kings lost. Cousins felt like he was open and that the ball should have gone to him. He made sure to tell Green this repeatedly. And all the yelling and chirping after the game was one thing. But once the team was in the locker room, it was no longer Cousins' mouth that was the problem. It was now in his fists. All over Green. After the fight, the team was ready to board their flight, and then Cousins was removed from the plane. He was told if he wanted to join the team on their road trip, he would have to make his own travel plans. Were they trying to avoid future fighting on a flight? Wait, have you guys watched the video of the NBA players who got robbed? If not, click on the I button and watch now. Flight fight. If you're wondering if a fight breaking out on a flight might be a bad idea, you don't have to wonder any longer. Back when the Memphis Grizzlies had Tony Allen and O.J. Mayo, they found out firsthand that it was a terrible idea. Apparently, the two were gambling on the flight, and O.J. Mayo owed Allen a few $1,000s. We're not sure if Mayo wasn't planning on paying Allen, or maybe Allen didn't appreciate Mayo's timetable under which he was planning on making payments. What we do know is that Allen got angry and punched Mayo. And however many hits he landed, they did some damage. Because Mayo missed their very next game with bronchitis. Sure, if bronchitis now also means, too bruised from not paying your debts. So, this wasn't in a locker room, but this was worse. If you have a fight on a plane and then decide to leave, you cannot. You're thousands of feet in the air. Maybe WWE should scrap the steel cage matches and replace them with flight fights. Mills vs. Wells, 2002, Warriors vs. Blazers. Chris Mills. Bonzi Wells. A fan that threw gum at Rasheed Wallace. Which you'd think would be the biggest part of this story, considering Rasheed had to be restrained from going at the fan. But no, after the final buzzer, a brawl started and Chris Mills threw a punch at Bonzi Wells. After the brawl and the game, Mills wasn't done. He went looking for Bonzi in the locker room but was restrained. So, he left. Done yet? No. Mills found Portland's bus and parked his car in front of it. He and his friends got out of the car and challenged the Blazers to another fight. Wow, Mills wanted a rematch right away. But he didn't count on the fact that the rematch would come with a 3-game suspension. The talented Mr. Spruill. We've had players fight on different teams and on their own teams, but no coaches have gotten involved yet. And then, just now, Latrell Sprewell was heard saying, "I can fix that." If you ever watched Latrell Sprewell play, you knew the guy had talent. But, as you may not have necessarily known, he was a bit strange. And he had a temper. Everyone found that out soon enough. During practice, Warriors coach PJ Carlesimo was being hard on Sprewell. He reportedly told Sprewell to put some mustard on a pass. Sprewell confused mustard with hand and pass with Carlesimo's throat. Yes, he ran over to his coach and began choking him, threatening to kill him. His teammates had to run over and remove him from the coach. The incident made national news. Sprewell was suspended, and Carlesimo stopped with mustard altogether and became more of a mayo guy. Sprewell's defense? "I wasn't choking PJ that hard. I mean, he could breathe." I don't know. If you've ever heard PJ Carlesimo speak now, you wouldn't be surprised to find out that someone once choked him out for about 10 seconds. The floor general. They often refer to Chris Paul as the floor general, but he's also a general in other respects. After he had left the Clippers and started doing that Houston Rocket thing, Chris Paul eventually made his way back to Staples Center to face off against his former LA squad. And the game got chippy. There was shoving and elbowing. Someone ripped Blake Griffin's shorts. Griffin apparently ran into Mike D'Antoni, and Austin Rivers was talking trash at everyone in his fancy suit and walking boot combo. And then the Clippers eventually won. But Chris Paul and the Rockets weren't done yet. And CP3 orchestrated maybe his best attack plan ever. The floor general and the point guard devised a plan. He knew about a secret tunnel that went under the Staples Center and connected the two teams' locker rooms. And he sent Clint Capella to go knock on the front door of the Clippers' locker room as a diversion. Then, he, Trevor Ariza, James Harden, and Gerald Green snuck through the back way. Ariza was the first one in the locker room and, by all accounts, ready to rock. But the Clippers weren't quite as surprised as CP3 had wanted, and they lost the element of surprise. Maybe if Clint Capella had a more convincing knock, we would have gotten a real fight. However, LAPD was called, and the cops had to intervene and stop the fight. And probably the best part about this almost fight is Shaq and Chuck's reaction on Inside the NBA to the words, "police presence." "We just want to know who called the cops on a furious Chris Paul. That's all we ask. Can we hear the 911 call?" O Arenas. You know, there is probably an alternate reality where Gilbert Arenas made a few different decisions. Just scaled it back a bit on a few occasions, and then he brought himself to a level like that of Allen Iverson. The guy had potential. He had raw talent. But he also had some bad habits. Gambling isn't such a bad habit in and of itself, as long as you keep it under control, and you don't introduce other elements that could make the gambling spiral out of control. Now, Gilbert Arenas loved to gamble. He even did some gambling with his teammate, Javaris Crittenton. The two loved poker, a little bit too much. In the locker room in 2009, on Christmas Eve, in fact, the two got into an argument over gambling debts. So, what happened? Like in all these other instances, did fists begin flying? Nope. Guns were drawn. That's right, guns, plural. Arenas had a pistol. Crittenton had a pistol. It was Christmas Eve. This sounds like Die Hard 6 or something. Well, the NBA wasn't looking to get into the action movie business, and they didn't take kindly to the idea of players threatening each other's lives with firearms between the lockers and the Gatorade table. And the two were suspended. And thus, Arenas never had a career like The Answer. But we hear he is still looking to have a career like 07's. So yeah, things get crazy on the court. But it gets even crazier in the locker rooms, parking lots, and even on planes. And the NBA is full of bizarre moments, whether it's player versus player or coach versus coach, or two players playing dueling pistols on Christmas Eve. Which of these instances do you think is the craziest? Do let us know in the comments section below and get a chance to win a brand new PS5. If you enjoyed watching the video, do like and share, and yes, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thank you so much.